That one person whose text notification makes your heart literally leap, whose approval feels like oxygen and whose disapproval feels like the world is ending. Your entire mood for the day depends completely on the attention that they give you. If any of this sounds all too familiar, you probably understand the concept of favorite person, or FP, which is a term used in the BPD community to describe the most intense, all-consuming relationship dynamic that you can imagine. So what exactly is an FP, or favorite person? So what it is not is just thinking that someone is cool. It's not a healthy BFF relationship or just the label that you give to your partner. An FP is a specific, intense attachment figure that becomes a central source for self-worth, for validation, for emotional regulation, for a sense of security, a sense of identity for the person with BPD. The FP makes them feel seen, heard, safe in ways that feel irreplaceable or rare, in ways that feel life-sustaining. That FP relationship can feel intoxicating or even life-saving, but in it, the emotional stakes are really high. When the FP can't meet all the emotional needs, which is inevitable because no one can meet all your emotional needs, that can lead to panic, to rage, to despair, or even complete shutdown, emotional withdrawal. And that creates a cycle where relationships swing between closeness and conflict, which creates a lot of instability that deeply affects all people involved. And in terms of what's happening in the brain, there is a potential link to the brain's reward system that involves dopamine and the threat detection system that involves the amygdala. So when that FP sends that text, it can result in a huge dopamine hit. But when the FP is upset with you, that can put the amygdala into full overdrive, which results in that fight, flight, or freeze response. And in terms of symptoms, this is not just a cute quirk. This is a manifestation of some of those core BPD symptoms like unstable relationships, identity disturbance, affective instability, and fear of abandonment. The FP becomes the core focus of all of these. You've got the idealization phase, which is the high. The FP is perfect. They're amazing. They are the best person who's ever existed. They can do no wrong. The person with BPD will mirror their opinions, their hobbies, their interests, which is linked to identity disturbance. There's a constant need for communication and reassurance. Their needs are put way above the person's with BPD. They're put on a pedestal, but that pedestal is incredibly fragile. And then you have the devaluation phase, or the crash. And what can trigger this is a perceived slight, a delayed text, them spending time with someone else, a minor criticism. The pedestal begins to crack. Suddenly, this FP is not amazing. They are the worst. They are intentionally hurtful, abandoning, evil. And that leads to panic, despair, rage, or even just a complete shutdown from the person with BPD, complete withdrawal. And this often comes from perceived threats of abandonment, not even from reality. And it's a preemptive coping mechanism to preemptively reject the FP before the FP rejects them. So what is this like for the person with BPD? It is exhausting. It is exhausting to have your sanity depend on someone else's actions. And then of course you have the immense shame and guilt that can follow the devaluation phase, which can often lead to self-destructive behaviors just to cope with those overwhelming emotions. What is it like for the FP? Now, this is a critical and often overlooked perspective, and it is also exhausting. It is an impossible job to be responsible for someone else's entire emotional state, for their happiness, for their stability. At first, that attention can feel flattering, but it can quickly become overwhelming and suffocating. You feel like you're constantly being watched and analyzed, and that you're walking on eggshells. Can we navigate this FP dynamic in a healthy way? Sure. For the person with BPD, awareness is the first and most powerful step. Just naming that FP dynamic, like being aware that it is taking place and saying, ooh, there's my FP reaction kicking in. That can create space between feeling and action. Therapy is key. Dialectical behavioral therapy, learning those skills, those emotional regulation skills, distress tolerance skills, interpersonal effectiveness skills, building a life portfolio. So the goal is to diversify your emotional investments. One person, that FP, should not be your entire emotional portfolio. You need to nurture those other friendships, hobbies, other interests, other sources of self-worth, so that FP dynamic becomes less intense. You need to become your own FP. For the FP, setting kind but firm boundaries. I love talking to you, but I can't respond instantly when I'm at work. I'll text you when I'm on my next break. Validate the feeling, not the narrative. So, I see you're in pain right now. Let's talk about what's coming up for you. Not, you're right, I am a terrible person. Encourage professional support. You're their friend or their partner. You're not their therapist. And lastly, and most importantly, take care of yourself. It's okay to take a step back if it's impacting your mental health. It doesn't mean you're any less compassionate. It doesn't mean that you don't care. The FP dynamic is a painful but common part of BPD that is rooted in a deep fear of abandonment and struggles with self-identity. It's not about being clingy or crazy. It's a recognizable pattern of behavior with reasons behind it. With awareness, with therapy, with hard work, the intensity can be managed. Relationships, they can be stable and fulfilling, and you can learn to be your own favorite person. What has your experience with the FP dynamic been like? Let's talk about it in the comments with kindness and respect. If this video helped you understand yourself or a loved one, give it a like, share it with someone who might need it, and as always, be kind to yourselves and to others.